Hey, I'm Brian, and I'm going to walk you through how to use Rapidinfluence to explore raw data. And in particular, we're going to explore financial data to look for fraud. So first, let's log into Rapidinfluence. Hey, how's it going this afternoon? Now you'll notice that this is biometric voice authentication, super fast, super secure, and we don't have to remember a password, so that's excellent. Now here we're in the dashboard. You'll also notice it's a bit empty. That's by design. Rapidinfluence is really simple to use. All we have to do is talk to it. So let's load up some sample data. I want to analyze fraud. So here's some sample financial data. You'll see we've got about 300 rows of information, 13 features to this data, and we have a readout of some of the data types present here. You may also notice certain fields like amount, transaction, and merchant type. These correspond to the ISO 8583 standard for financial interchange messaging. I've added real anonymized financial data here that we're going to poke through to try and look for patterns. So our analysis will address just 3 indicators in this data for brevity, but there are many ways one could imagine to leverage Rapidinfluence to perform this type of analysis in the future. So let's get started. First, can you find any primary account numbers that utilize a device that is present in less than 1% of these events? Okay, so Rapidinfluence picked apart my request here, and it went into our data and found devices that were present almost as anomalies or outliers. So all of these occur at fractions of a percent in our data. So that's good, but our analysis for fraud is a little more complex. Let's drill through a couple other indicators here. Can you find IP addresses that are only present less than 1% of the time in these transactions? Okay, so similar to our analysis we just did with devices, we also have a readout of IPs. Now, there are fewer of these that are outliers, so that's good. We're getting a little closer to our target, but we got to keep going here. Can you identify any transactions that occur between midnight and 6 a.m.? We tend to see increased fraudulent activity during this time. Okay, so we filtered down even further. We've pulled out all 12 transactions from our original raw data, where the transactions only occur late at night or early in the morning, because we tend to know that these are typically a little more fraudulent. So now to complete our analysis, we want to find the really risky activity that maybe shows up in all 3 of these data sets. So let's do that. Finally, can you compare all 3 of those data sets and identify only the primary account numbers that are present in all sets? Great. Our final analysis leaves us with 3 transactions, about 1% of the data that's present in all these sets. So we would consider these really risky. Now let's go ahead and do something interesting. Let's save this model. Can you save that model as fraud? Fraud detection model saved. So this brings up an interesting point, how we might be able to use this workflow on data coming in the future. So let's go back into our analysis. I want to analyze some fraud. So here we have our sample financial data again, but now that we've gone through that workflow and the model that we saved, we can apply this again quickly, almost as a filter. Hey, can you apply our fraud detection model to this activity? Awesome. So now we don't even have to go through the workflow. If our model was accurate, we can just reapply it to new data as it comes in. And this brings up another point that as this data comes in, these are still lagging metrics. You know, all these transactions already happened. How might we be able to think about using Rapidinfluence and voice to analyze real-time transactions? Can you clear this? I want to analyze live financial activity for fraud. So you'll notice we have a similar data set to before, but we're streaming in data. So this data is coming in real time. This is obviously sample data. But let's go ahead and apply our model to this streaming data, and let's see how this works. Hey, can you apply our fraud detection model to this streaming data? Fantastic. So now we have our model is applied. If any data comes in that fits within the model we had described before, such as this transaction that just came in, it will be noted, and we can then communicate that to any relevant authorities, make a presentation out of it, or explore it further. Now, so this completes our analysis. You may have noticed I didn't touch my keyboard once during this entire video. Using voice, we can perform complex data explorations, such as fraud analysis, in a really efficient and even satisfying kind of manner. Thanks, homie.
Brian, anytime.
So that's it for fraud detection. If you guys have any questions, reach out to me. Let me know how I can help. Thanks.